Hey everyone! Today I'll be talking to you guys about leadership and three really important traits that you need to be a great leader and how your personality defines you as a leader. If you're new to my channel, my name is Dr. Norma Reyes. I have a PhD in adult professional and community education, and I'm also a life coach. So let's get started. All right. So, you guys, if you've looked at anything anywhere, you probably have found a personality test that you could take. And there's so many different types. Everyone's familiar or most likely has encountered the Myers-Briggs if you ever took a psychology class. Now, there's a lot of different ones, and a lot of them they have their foundation in Myers-Briggs. One of my personal favorites is 16personalities.com. It's awesome. You take their little quiz for free, and then they have things that you can upgrade, but what they give you for free is amazing. And no, this is not sponsored. I just love them a lot. Now, a different one that I just recently came across that not too many people have heard of is the Enneagram. And the Enneagram is this 9 personality wheel thing, and it's really, really hard and complicated to go into. So I'm not going to go into too much of that, but I would definitely recommend doing that one. And I'll put some links to both of those tests inside the whatever that thingy is down at the bottom, wherever you can read the description. I'll put those there for you guys because those are two things that I think are really, really important. They define you or give you, they don't define you. I don't like saying that. They kind of give you an insight into you and your personality. It's kind of eerie to read some of this stuff because it's like, hey, that is me, especially because your whole life you hear like, you're so unique, but we all are unique, and you have similarity traits just like anyone else. And so, your personality is just kind of like, think of it as the engine that you run. There's, a lot of different vehicles out there as an example for anybody, right? And there's actually vehicles, like there's cars that are not Hondas that have Honda engines. So just to give you an idea, right? But that other style car is its own unique style. It just happens to run on the same engine as a Honda. Anyway, random example, but that's what came to mind. And so 16personalities.com is the one that I personally like. And I'm going to read you guys the description that it gives for me. And I think it's totally spot on for myself. So for anyone that's curious, my personality type is ESTJ. So, and I'll put little infos about what that means if you're curious to know. But for myself, that personality type is called the executive personality type. And one of the things that it has on here, it talks about what executive personality types are like as a manager. So whatever your personality type comes up, you can go into the workplace habits tab, and then it'll tell you what, how you are as an employee, how you are as a coworker, and then how you are as a manager. So for myself, it says executives take genuine pleasure in organizing others into effective teams. Check, definitely. And as managers, they have no better opportunity to do so. While sometimes overbearing, even micromanaging, I try not to be for sure, but I can see that I can be sometimes. Executive strong wills also serve to defend their teams and principles against diversions and cutbacks, regardless of who brings them. That is for sure. You could ask my team that I will definitely always bring whatever it is that they have going on. Anytime I have a leadership meeting, I make sure they know that I have their back, regardless of what my personal thoughts are about something. I want to hear their feedback, and I write it down, and then I take it up the pipeline. I think it's important as a leader to do that for your staff. Laziness and bad work ethic are not tolerated by executives under any circumstances. This is true. I absolutely do not like anyone to be like a bare minimum person. I expect you to meet the metrics regardless. And if you are a bare minimum type of person, I will keep going and try to stretch you to go even further and beyond, because I feel like everyone has always a little more potential. Executives project natural authority, but they sometimes expect this authority to be abided unconditionally, resisting change and demanding that things be done by the book. I can definitely be like this. I have a director who he lets me lead the team and try out different things with the team as I like, but he will definitely provide me with the guidance that I need. So I appreciate that. Whether executives own book or existing rules and traditions are used is subject to circumstance, but they do tend to rest on the security of tradition and precedent. Regardless, executives' expectations are clearly expressed, leaving little room or tolerance for deviation from the agenda. That last one, I think I've progressed quite a bit as a leader, as a person, that while I sit strong in my values, but I also value opinions and thoughts about others. So I've learned to become more flexible in myself. So that's just to give you guys an idea of how each personality has its own, I guess, engine of what a person would be like as a leader. So remember that, who you are, who your personality is, that's the type of leader that you're going to be. And so you gotta learn what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, because anybody can be a leader. Don't think that just certain personalities are meant for leadership. If you have a pull to be a leader, definitely go for it. We need a spectrum of leaders. This mindset that leaders are these XYZ types of people, like that's old school thinking. I mean, if that was the case, if that always worked, then we would all like be little robots, but we're not. Or, if it really worked, wouldn't we like have peace and blah, blah, blah by now? But it doesn't work because we're all very different. We're all unique. We all need different styles of leadership. But, right, there's a but. There are 3 things that I think that make a great leader, regardless of your personality type. So if you want to work at being a better leader and being a great leader to your team, then, my recommendation is to really, really grow these three leadership skills, these 3 values within yourself. I mean, and you can take them, you don't have to make them your own values, but they're very, very important. So one of them, first one is being authentic, allowing yourself to be yourself. As a leader, as a person, being in this role of a leader, right? If you are a manager or if you are someone that people come to, you kind of start feeling like you can't allow others to see you fail or allow others to see that you might not know something. And by trying to hide those things, hide yourself, hide the fact that you don't know everything, it's a terrible idea. For one, no one expects anyone to know everything. Like that's just like impossible. So, to even try to live up to that expectation that you know everything is just silly, because no one does. Not even Google. You can search stuff on Google and you're like, dang, Google has failed me. So that should tell you something. If even Google can't have the answer to everything, then you as a person, don't expect that. Don't set that high standard for yourself. So, just be authentic, be yourself, express yourself, dress how you want to dress, as long as it's within, professional code. Talk about what you like to talk about. People really can see when someone is being authentic versus someone who's not. And one of the worst things that our leader can do is make up stuff. When you don't have the answer, saying, whatever comes to the top of your head because you don't want to look like you don't know what you're saying, makes you look exactly like that, so just throw that to the garbage and just tell them. Tell your people. For example, I had a meeting last week where we had some changes done, and I was telling them about this change that needed to occur. And I have not been in the role for now over 2 years, and so I've lost touch to what it is to have to put everything directly into our computer system. So I opened the floor to the case managers and I said, can anybody show us how to do that? And I don't know how to do it. And they jumped in, which was great. I love to see when different people, especially our people who are a little bit more reserved, jump in and tell us, hey, okay, this is how you do it and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so enough about that. The next one actually kind of goes in with being authentic is being honest. Be honest, be as transparent as possible. I'm not saying going and telling, secrets and or gossiping. Right. A lot of times people think like, oh, well, I can't be honest or I can't do this, or they're honest by giving their opinion, and giving your opinion, your thoughts on something. That's not being honest. That's actually counter to being honest, because if you have to preface something and be like, well, my honest opinion is, that's your opinion. But what I mean by being honest and being transparent is really just telling your team what is really going on. For example, almost a year ago, we were doing this assessment change in our computer systems. And I, for one, was not for the change. And I was honest with my team about it. And I was honest in the fact that it was my opinion. But then when it came to, it's more than just your opinion. It's more than just what you think other people want to hear. And it's really about being transparent in your actions, being transparent in your reasoning, right? And so when you tell someone, like, let's do XYZ, and you give them your reasoning behind it, that's being honest and transparent, and it might be that that's all anybody needs. Sometimes, there's things that need to be done that your staff might wonder, well, why are they doing it this way? This makes no sense. And if you're just like, well, we have to do XYZ because the company wants to move in this direction, and this is the reasons why, then the team can get behind you. Then the team can truly back you up and help you reach those goals, whatever those goals are, or truly implement the new work process for them. And so then the last key trait that I believe that a leader needs in order to be successful and to create a successful team is to be supportive. A lot of times, leaders get so fixated on so many different things. You get busy, you get constantly a bunch of different things that you need to do. And it can be overwhelming for any type of leader. And for a new leader or a leader that's been there, a seasoned leader, it doesn't matter who you are. There's one key trait that I've seen, that is so important, that even if you don't do the other two, which those are important too, but this one is super duper important, and that is being supportive. Be supportive of your staff and listen to them. So many leaders do not listen to their staff. I can't remember how many managers, supervisors that I had that just didn't even nurture me as a person, but I didn't feel supported. And there's different types of way that you can support your staff. The biggest way is by being their voice in leadership meetings. Sometimes it is difficult to speak up during meetings. I can understand that. I know for myself, I sometimes it's a little bit easier to stand up when I feel the reasoning makes sense. But then there's sometimes that you just have to speak up for your staff beyond just what you agree, right? And so that shows your staff that you will not only just support them when it conveniences you and when it makes you look good, but when it also is for them and it has nothing to do with you, because of course, everyone's going to be supportive of their staff when it benefits them. But when it doesn't even benefit you at all to say something, to be supportive, and you're supportive of them, it just shows who you are as a leader, not just to your staff, but the leadership above you, that you are beyond just yourself. And we should all be. We should all be helping each other and supporting each other and showing that to your staff in a variety of ways. So that's one way, right? Supporting them. And then a different way to be supportive as a leader is supporting different departments. Something that gets really, really, really lost a lot of times, especially as the company grows and gets bigger, is that each department begins to grow within itself. But then when it becomes where gray areas happen and one department needs to help another department, and the client is the person that we're all trying to help. But then sometimes one department's like, well, that's not my job, that's your job. And the other department is, like, no, it's not, it's your job. And instead of remembering the whole reason why either department has a job, which is the client, the bickering goes back and forth. So you got to know to be supportive of the other department, regardless of how you feel what they should be doing. Always remember the client in mind. And so by showing your staff and showing your leadership above that you are willing to set your ego aside to be supportive of the end goal, which is to provide great customer service to your client or to whatever your end goal is, then that shows, you as a person. So that's another way to show support. And then another way, which this is just a couple of examples, it's endless how you can show support. But another way that I show support with my team is also being supportive of other leaders and respecting who they are and my staff as well. But in regards to other leaders is, just giving them a clean slate and being okay that people aren't who you think they are when you first, or who you want them to be, because a lot of times we interact with each other and then someone is not who we wanted them to be. I'm not saying that they needed to be that, but they're not who we want it to be. And so when that happens, we a lot of times are like, I'm done with that person. But really just changing that mentality of like, I'm done because they're not who I want to be, but supporting them for who they are. And then you'll get to see that that person actually brings more for you. You actually end up growing by taking the time to understand them and to learning more about them. You realize how much more you need to learn and grow. So, and it's a mutual gain. They learn and grow from you because you're willing to be supportive of them and their leadership styles. So those are three key things that every leader should be working on continuously. If there's any other type of leadership traits, skills that you think are super important for a leader to have, comment below. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe and watch the rest of my videos. Thank you.